God, so much play in my shifter. How can I fix that? What's up, guys? It's Jordan from Blackwater, Japan, and today we're going to be tackling the annoying effect of worn shifter bushings. So, when your manual transmission front-wheel drive car has a shifter bushing like this, and it makes your transmission shifter so sloppy, you're going to want to do what we're doing now. And that is to replace our shifter bushings, the ones specifically on top of the transmission. And how are we going to do that, you ask? Well, let me show you our new shifter bushings. That's right. Shout out to all my skater boys out there. He was a skater boy. She said, see ya later, boy. Independent bearings is what we're going to be using today to replace our worn shifter bushings. Funny thing about the shifter bushings on these front-wheel drive manual transmission cars is the diameter is the same exact diameter as a bearing. Let's get into the transmission side of things and see how we go about replacing them with these. So just to show you guys, this is in gear and I have a ton of shifter play. In gear, and I mean a ton of shifter play. So a little too much for my liking. So let me show you guys something real quick. So down in here you'll find that you actually have two cables leading to your shifter. So on the other side of that, they lead to your transmission on top of the gear selector on your transmission. And while you pull these cables move. You probably just saw that one move a little bit. And it goes and selects which gear you need to be in. So there are actually two bushings inside of these cables here. You can kind of see on this one, it's white inside there, but that's not what we're going to be replacing today. We're going to be replacing the ones that are actually on top of the transmission. So let's go pop the hood and see what I'm talking about. So with your hood popped, looking at your engine, you're going to come over here to the driver's side if you're left-hand drive car, and you're going to look down here underneath this intake, and you're going to see down here, if I can get my camera to focus, that is one shifter cable, and that one back there is the other. So let me zoom out. Straight down here, you'll find the top of the transmission. You'll see these shift selectors right here, and that's one right there, and that's the other. So basically all we're going to do is pull that pin out, pull that washer off, and pull the cables off. To make it easier on myself, I ended up removing my intake piping here, my intake tubing. So hopefully you guys can see. I know this isn't the best angle of things, but basically right here you're going to want to access this little pin, and it seriously just pulls right out. Don't lose that. Got that off. And then there's a washer on top, just like that. Got that off. And then the cable literally just comes right off. But this one isn't as worn as the other, so I'm going to do the other one as well. And pull that one off. I know you guys can't see that one. I'm doing my best here. But yeah, this other one over here is super, super worn. I don't know if you can see this, but you see that play in it? That's a lot of play for a shifter bushing. Should not have that much play. So now we're going to see how to get these guys out. So what you're going to do is you're going to freaking get this guy off with that clip and that spacer that I told you. I'm going to try my best to kind of just pick at this and cut. Kind of just cutting like almost like a V into it. So now I'm going to try to hold the cable down and push this side through. If it doesn't go through, I'll have to cut more. Oh, there it goes. There. Oh, God. So, here's the old bushing. You can kind of see because this lip sits around that edge of the cable. So you kind of just cut a little edge in it and then push it down through. All right, guys, so I had to play with some washers, like I said earlier, to make sure that the cable still sat in the stock location. It wasn't too far down or up or to the left or to the right. So, because with this bearing's skinnier than the actual bushing. So if you push it all the way on, you're going to have play left and right without any washers. So that's why we added some washers. So this is what I figured out to get it to the right location. I just had a bunch of like random washers sitting around, so these are kind of randoms. This is my digital caliper. I'm trying to help you guys realize what you might need for this. So basically I did 2 of these washers and the OEM washer together, like so. That's before you put the cable on. And that's 5 millimeters. So you basically need a 5 millimeter washer before you put the cable with the bearing on. And you want it to be a big washer like this. I didn't have a 5 millimeter big one like this, so I just used 2 small ones and then put this on. The reason why you want this to be big is so that if the cable slides off the bearing for any way, this acts as a counter and holds it in. See, with it pushed in the stock location and it has no way to move back and forth, and this is in the way, it's not going to be able to fall off that cable. And then I had one of these guys over the top, and then I was able to use the stock pin. And just to show you guys what size this one is, it's about a 1.1 millimeter, about a millimeter, I would say. 1 millimeter on the outside. So let's go put all these in, and I'll show you what that looks like. Make sure also when you have to go, if you have to go buy new washers, make sure that this inner diameter is the same as the bearing, so you can make sure that it fits on the cable and all that, on the rod, the gear selector. So I'm going to slide these 3 guys on. It's like that, and then I'm going to slide the OEM one on, like so. And then I'm going to take the cable, and I'm going to push this cable, the bearing, into the cable, which is kind of tricky also in its own right. Okay, so to help me, I kind of struggled for a sec there, but you basically want to set that bearing up perfectly even on the cable, because the cable, if it's sitting sideways, it's going to get kind of cockeyed. And then I got one of these guys to go over the top, slide this guy down, and we should be able to slide that pin right on through. There we go. So, and now that's what it's going to look like when they're all on there. And now I don't have any play in the actual cable themselves, and they're sitting at the stock location. So let's see if the shifter tightened up at all. All right, guys, so after you get your independent skateboard bearings in, instead of your freaking rubber shifter bushings that are like crap, come inside your car and start filling with your shifter, you know, like you fiddle with your fiddle stick at home. But looks like this one definitely is a lot better. It doesn't have as much play as it did, but I think there might be slightly more issues to my situation than just the shifter bushings. I think maybe I might have stretched cables, or I might also need to replace the shifter bushings down below that are on the other side of the cables that go straight to the shifter, but it does feel a lot tighter. So that's pretty much how you would install skateboard bearings as your shifter bushings. It's really simple, really easy. All you have to do is make sure you space out the cables the correct way. And I also want to give a negative shout out review to Monkey Wrench Racing. I do not recommend buying from that company. I reached out to that company because there are some companies that make just some straight metal brass bushings for the shifter cables, and his kit was like $30, but after shipping, it was like almost $45 to $50 with his shipping labels. I asked if I could just simply send out my own label to cover the shipping cost, and it was a no from him. He really just didn't want to deal with it, and he ships through USPS, but he only offers priority shipping, which I don't know why. You can also do ground, you still get tracking, and his USPS shipping charge for 2 little tiny bushings was like $15 or $16. I just thought it was ridiculous. I ship eBay and sell stuff on eBay all the time, and I ship out stuff like that. Anything that small should be like $5 to $6 through USPS ground advantage labels, but I was just trying to save a buck, so instead I just went to my brother's skate shop and bought $9.99 set of bearings from a skateboard, and I'm trying this out, and it seems to work pretty well. We're driving around, and it actually does feel a lot better. It's hard to gauge how much better it feels when you're not driving the car, but actually like driving around, shifting between the gears, it feels a lot stiffer, a lot smoother. More of that. But it does feel like a lot better. Like it feels more like I can predict like where I need to go into gear. It's not so sloppy everywhere. I don't know, it just feels overall nicer. I want to like perfect this shifter though, because it's always kind of felt sloppy ever since I've gotten it. This is step 1 to fixing some of the shifter slop. I think in the future I'm going to try and do a short shifter, maybe replace the shifter cables just to see if that helps. I mean, the car does have almost 300,000 miles on it, so you know, they could just be worn out and stretched cables over time. But anyways, I recommend doing this upgrade. I think it's going to be a lot better than the rubber shifter bushings that go to crap after a while. And if you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Lexus content. Peace out, guys.